Right, I keep meaning to do this video for years and years. What I'm going to do is just a little introduction video because it's going to be a lot of work, the actual video, to do it properly. This is just going to give you a rough idea what I've had in my mind for a very long time. Basically, my hobby's bushcraft. Like it is so many of us out there, there's so many different skills in bushcraft. It's a huge wide subject, but one of the subjects which I'm going to talk about today, I think, believe it or not, probably even 1% of people into bushcraft actually know about it, of any detail anyway. So my story began about 30 years ago at work, and I've been luckily in my working life to mostly work outside. So what happened on this one particular job, I was round the back in the back garden of this job building a wall, quite a big wall, and every morning for the first couple of days I kept hearing this seagull making this right old racket. And the neighbour would come out, the customer would come out and say to me, "You want a cup of tea?" She goes, "Oh, that bloody seagull." And I used to think, yeah, right, yeah, bloody thing. Anyway, so the next day I was out the front. Lo and behold, the seagull started. And I'm looking around thinking, bloody thing, it is annoying. And then I saw this jogger coming down the road. And he was running down the road, and then this seagull took off with its frantic noise going on, and then he started swooping and attacking this bloke, and I was thinking, cool, bloody hell, look at that. Well, poor bloke. Anyway, that went past. Next morning I'm out in the back garden building the wall. The old girl comes out and she said, "Want a cup of tea?" I said, "Oh, that'd be lovely." And then the seagull started, and she goes, "Oh, that seagull again, it's so annoying, what's up with it?" And I said, "Oh, it's because there's a jogger coming down the road." And she said, "What?" I said, "Yeah, it's a jogger coming down the road, it's attacking it." She goes, "How do you know that?" And I said, "Well, I saw it yesterday." And then it was at that moment I had that eureka moment where I thought, hang on a minute, wow, this is actually really amazing. She was amazed that I knew it was a walker coming down the road. So, talking about hearing things, I think next door's about to mow their lawn. You can hear them. But anyway, I'm digressing. So I thought, wow, she thought that was amazing. So I thought, hang on a minute, surely all the birds have like these alarm calls. So hence, after that, everything I was listening to, I was listening all constant to the birds. And then I would hear like the robin, but it would do like a high pitched noise. And I used to think, well, what is it? What is it? I couldn't see anything. But after a time, I look up and there was a sparrowhawk coming, or a kestrel. And I used to think, oh my God, that's incredible. Or another occasion, a robin would do a alarm call, and I used to think, well, can't see any sparrowhawks, what's that all about? And it'd be like a cat coming along, or a fox. And slowly over the years my knowledge built up, where you're constant just naturally listening to the birds to tell you what's around your surroundings all the time. And it really does work. The blackbird, we all know blackbirds. I'm gonna have to turn this off, someone's about to mow the bloody lawn. Hang on a minute. Right, the birds didn't tell me, but I was right, he just mowed his lawn. It's called situation awareness, where you're aware of your surroundings, which is sort of involved in this conversation really. But yeah, it's like the blackbird, as I'm getting back, the blackbird, everybody's heard the blackbird call, alarm call. triggered by a lot of humans, dogs as well. Dogs in the bird alarm world isn't as bad as cats and foxes and so on. A dog isn't really a predator to a bird. It doesn't stalk them unless it's a springer trying to get out pheasants and stuff in long grass. But yeah, so we've all heard the blackbird, so you're aware of that alarm. There's loads and loads of different bird calls and songs, so it's getting used to knowing the difference. So it takes ages, and you practice and listen to the alarms. We live in an amazing world now where you could probably go on your iPhone or whatever computer and just look up all these different alarms, which will give you an advantage. But 30 years ago there wasn't none of that, so it was just, old ground learning, just getting out there and walking miles listening to the birds, trying to spot the bird what was making the alarm call. So when a bird does an alarm call, it's letting all the other birds around it know, danger, look out, there's somebody here who shouldn't be. So what then happens is that bird thinks, oh my god, what's going on? So he sends off an alarm, and so on and so on. It all goes down the bird chain. So you can be walking along, so say you're walking along an edge of a field and there's a hedge runs through there, and you disturb a bird and he sets his alarm off. Then that will set an alarm off to say a blue tit or a great tit, and then that will set an alarm off to a goldfinch. And before you know it, 2 minutes down that hedge from where you got to, they already know you're coming. They're aware that there's danger on its way. They pass a message out there to say, look out, something dodgy's coming. And it's the same all around with all the birds. So the other day, for an example, I was washing up in the obviously in the kitchen, not in the bedroom, where it'd be something seriously wrong. No, I was in there and Val was out gardening, but I could hear all this ruckus going on. I thought, that's a bird of prey. I came out and I was looking around and I said to Val, there's a bird of prey coming, and right in the distance I could see a red kite, and lo and behold, within 25 seconds it was over the top of us. That's an example, because they sent the message onto the birds around this area, and that's how it works. So if you're camping in the woods and you're sitting around a campfire cooking your sausages and all, and something catches your eye and you think, oh, somebody out there, you're looking, think, ooh, but your first instinct is to look. Ideally, you should always be listening. I know as you get older, your hearing can get worse and everything else, and we ain't all got that privilege, I realise that. But on average, you should be just listening all the time. So when I'm in a wood, I could tell you now, basically, if there's a deer right over a few hundred yards away without seeing it, by listening to the birds. I can hear if there's walkers over in the footpath, even quarter of a mile away, if they're really noisy, walking along, chatting away, walking high speed, disturbance. It's all about that baseline, that disturbing around you. You got to, if you can, if you're really into wildlife watching, you've got to keep that baseline as calm as possible. So when you see people stalking for deer, they want to try and get a good photo, they go into slow-mo and they walk slowly. They're trying to be as quiet as possible, so they're keeping that baseline as smooth as possible. It's like if you throw a little pebble in a pond, you just get them little ripples, But you throw a big rock in it, you get these huge ripples right across the whole lake, what disturbs the lake. It's the same as in any environment you're in. Got to keep that baseline to the minimum as possible. And then you don't disturb the birds, which send the alarms off, and so on. It's a bit of a difficult one to explain. There you go. See, that was the starlings. Starlings, they come in groups. And what you get? You get one called a sentinel. There's always one up high. These are over the other side. You can't see any from here. But you always get one up high in the tree, looking out for all his mates. And if they hear or see a bird of prey coming or any danger, they give out an alarm, which alerts all the other starlings. So you suddenly see them all take off in a flock. A lot of birds have that. They have a sentinel out looking. They're always constantly looking for the others. So it's a really, really interesting subject. And if you are a person who can focus, it can really change your life. It has mine. Hang on, I've got a bit of paper blowing away here. So, it really changes your whole world, your situation awareness. It absolutely boosts out, unbelievable. It's like, even if I'm walking in town, if you're walking in town, for instance, I'll take this as an example. I'm trying to make something up in my head, and we're all walking along the main precinct, and all of a sudden you hear somebody shouting out, "Oh, yeah, right," and it catches your ears, doesn't it? You think, "Oh, what's that all about?" And you think nothing of it to start with, and then it gets worse, and you think, "Oh, hang on a minute, what's going on?" And then you notice everybody around you is stopping, and you see a little crowd, and they're all looking. It's the same thing in the bird language. They're aware, so you're aware in that situation because we're tuned into that. Over the thousands of years, we're tuned in to pick up on that. But it's the same with bird language. We can use that. It's all right. I'm getting so distracted. I'm sitting here in my back garden. I was going to go up on the downs. My feet are still not good from my walk, so I can't really push far at the moment. But because I'm in an environment where there's loads of birds, so I'm like buzzy all the time. So I'm sort of losing track of what I'm saying. Yeah, so if you're in town and you hear this noise, you're attracted to it. Obviously, you're aware of it. You don't want to be attracted to it because who knows what's going on. That alertness should give you the advantage of thinking, "Oh, keep away from this." We live in an unsettled, dangerous world now. And it's a scary world. We don't know what's going to happen. That thing in Liverpool the other day, it was awful. It was terrible. Situation awareness is such an important factor. I'm constantly terrible, looking all the time, can't settle. I do it like a traffic light situation. Wherever I go, it's green, it's all right. I'm aware, but it's all right. Orange, I think, picked up on something. Red, I'm like, I'm off out of here. And it's amazing how many people are not. And it's going back, I think, 4,000, 6,000, 20, maybe 100,000, if not even going back further, when type of man first came on this planet. I think it was just an everyday awareness to them. It was part of them. They just listened to the birds to guide them when they're hunter-gathering. Even today the hunter-gatherers use birds. There's that honey bird. They feed it a little bit of honey and then he gets that reward. So the bird will take them to where they know there's honey in a tree. That's one example. But by using bird language, you can do exactly the same in modern day, and I use it all the time. We did this, I went to this camp a couple of weeks ago, Hampshire Outdoors and Survival. He done it, amazing camp, absolutely brilliant, love it. He does a really nice job, and he's worth popping over and watching his channel. He's a very knowledgeable man, very clever, knows his stuff. But we were there, and I always watch people. I'm a people watcher, the way they walk, the way they act, and I'm always aware. And in there, I was listening to the birds, didn't say anything to anyone. I was constantly listening, and they have woodpeckers in there. There are a lot of escape me now, my brain's just gone. But there was lots of different birds in there, and I was picking up on them all the time and listening. And then there was one occasion I heard the birds go off, and I thought, yeah, there's somebody coming down that track. And lo and behold, 2 guys turned up who came to the camp, didn't say anything, but it was awareness all the time. See, now that was that's a crow calling. He's calling for his buddy though, that one. It's a single crow noise on his own. So this is what it's like. You get distracted and you learn it. So yeah, that was just going to give you a brief insight of bird language. I sort of digressed, I always do. Should write it down, but I won't be able to read it back. I'm going to spend a bit of time and try and do it properly, because it's very hit and miss. I've got to be in the right place at the right time for it to happen. But you can do it yourselves. Next time you hear a bird alarm, think, was it me caused that? What was it? What type of bird was it? And you learn to know if it's a high-pitched one, or it's probably a bird of prey. If it's more of a it's probably a ground predator. You get to learn the different alarms. I hope this sort of makes sense. I'm sort of just winging it, really. I'm just trying to think as I go along. I should have had a bit more of a plan, because it's a very important subject for me. I think so, and I think it can change your life. I honestly think it can. It teaches you to slow down, being less disturbance. And even when in bushcraft, I think we forget sometimes we're in nature. We think, oh, we're part of nature, or it's good to be out here. But think of the damage you might be doing. I know it's weird, but even chopping the wood and that, is that disturbing? Like woodpeckers, because it imitates a woodpecker, because he's out there tapping his heart off on a post, on a tree, to sort of say, go away, this is my territory. He's letting everybody know this is my territory. There's birds nesting in there. So I think if you're quiet and you're walking a lot slower, keep your surroundings to smooth. That pebble I was on about, throwing it in the lake, keeping it very gentle. You've got to do that in the environment I think you're in as well. And I think it'll pay dividends. But yeah, see, now that is just letting, I don't know if you could hear that. That was the seagulls doing that. All that's a territory call to the other seagulls. This is my area. This is my little patch. Go away. Because there was a seagull just flew over that direction. Because they have their little areas. Because Auntie throws a little bit of crust out after her breakfast, and they want to be first in there. So that's like, go away, this is my area, that's my bread, sort of thing. And they're nesting at the moment. So yeah, just being tuned if you can, if you want to. I'm gonna have to stop this video because I'm just mumbling on now. But I'm gonna play this back, and if it's crap, I'm gonna redo it. But I'm just trying to explain about bird language. Oh, I'll tell you an interesting fact as well. I like this fact. And I did get this from the internet. This is obviously, you've got to learn it from somewhere, this stuff. But when you think the morning chorus, just before the sun rises, the birds do all their morning chorus. They sing out, let the world know where they are. I'm happy, all going well, and everything. And then it peters down. But that morning chorus, because the sun is rising, constant somewhere in the world, that morning chorus is continuous all around the planet, never stops for 24 hours. Never stops, because there's always a morning chorus going on somewhere. Now, they reckon birds have been on this planet for 66 million years. So birds haven't stopped that morning chorus for 66 million years on this planet. Can you imagine? It's just fascinating. Little fascinating fact. Anyway, I expect you're thinking, what the hell is this guy on about? I'm not so sure myself. But anyway, I hope it's of use. And if it is, I'll try and do more in-depth video to sort of show you what I'm actually trying to say. I think it's really beneficial for people out there to learn these skills, and especially if you're a hunter, if you're stalking a deer, for instance, the birds will tell you if that deer is going to see you. They got terrific eyesight, deer. All the camouflage in the world, all the skills, everything. But if you disturb the birds and an alarm goes off, that deer's ears prick up and think, there's somebody out there. In nature, the birds are the alarm for all the animals and mammals out there. They rely, squirrels, foxes, badgers, everything relies on the birds to help them keep alive. And the birds are doing the same with each other. Their alarms, I'll just one over there, their alarms keep each other alive. Now, on a simple note, that can help you if you want to go into stealth mode, if you're stealth camping. Listen for the birds. Don't disturb them. Keep your baseline down where you are in your area as smooth as possible. That's a territorial, but that is because there's a different. There it is. It's the magpie. I have to say, it's a different bird, and there's a magpie in their territory flied through. It's that detail where you pick up. Now, they also would let any birds knowing at the moment. They're letting any birds that are nesting at the moment, there's a magpie or a predator around. They would listen to that. They'd be sitting tight on their nest now. You get the jackdaws, they do a single rah, just to let know. I haven't heard one yet, but they will. It's that little detail, but it's happening all the time. What can give you a picture without seeing it? You know what's going on. And this is all to do with that one seagull and 30 years ago chasing that jogger. Anyway, I'm stopping now because I'm being silly. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed it in a strange way, and try it. Listen out and think, why is that bird making that noise, and see if you can work out what it is. And before you know it, you'll be able to detect a sparrowhawk coming in 2 minutes before it's even arrived to your area. It's worth trying to do. Sparrowhawks are clever. I'm going to keep on. I need to start, but what they try and do, they use humans as well. They use humans to work to their advantage. I've had it when I've been walking along the downs and I come to this scrub area, and they've been watching me, and they know when I walk through this scrub, I'm more than likely going to disturb any small birds in there. They're going to fly out. So they fly not far behind me, course it's going super dark. I don't know why that's doing that. Don't know. I'm gone black. There you go, I'm back. Yeah, they use me to flush out the birds, so they know when I'm walking through and I disturb them birds, they come in and grab them. They say woodmen, when they're working in mountain areas and they're going down the tracks on their old trucks, the trucks are making so much noise that they're disturbing the nature around them, but they're being followed behind by a bird of prey because he knows that they're going to disturb the wildlife, and he's literally hiding behind the truck, flying behind them to dart out to grab whatever's disturbed. Anyway, so there you go. Right, that's it. I've finished. If you got this far, well done. I don't know how. And keep listening and hope this is of any use.